Welcome to the EQ video tip. I'm your host, Eric Forstetter. Thanks again for joining us for a great show. Before we jump in to this week's tip, let's take a quick look at the goals of EQ video tip. Welcome back. Guess what? We have an amazing show today, and it's going to focus on leadership and what qualities make a good leader. These tips actually come from Dan Goleman. Dan is the author of Emotional Intelligence, and a lot of the work that we talk here about on EQ video tip comes from Dan or people who have read his work and research and studied it. So we're going to jump in, talk about different ways that will make you a better leader overall by focusing on your EQ and not just your IQ. Welcome back. Dan Goleman goes on to talk about the importance of EQ because in Dan's mind and in his words, once you're in a high-level situation, IQ is going to matter less in distinguishing a star from an average performer. In fact, it's the interpersonal skills that make a difference. So what skill in EQ matters the most? Well, according to Dan, there's 4, but self-awareness is an impressive set of abilities because it's the first of all the abilities that you need to master. It's invisible to a lot of people, but it's very subtle as well, and it's very underrated. So the first thing we think about with good leaders is their ability to have self-awareness because it's essential for all the other domains. Tip number 2, self-management. If you can't figure out what's going on inside of your own self, you're going to be very poor at it. So what we focus on in EQ is the ability to control your ability to think well, to create, to innovate, to stay fixated on a goal, and to help drive yourself and your team to achieve. These are all essential for self-management skills. How do you do such things? Have you ever had a time where you're about to go into a meeting and someone gives you bad news, whether it's a spouse or a friend, or maybe it's your dog, and all of a sudden you're frazzled? What do? Your rational brain wants you to relax, but your other side of your brain wants you to spaz or yell at someone or act out. The ability to regulate and control your emotions is going to make a huge difference in being a leader. One recommendation is take some deep breaths or box breathing. Breathe in through your nose for 4 and hold it for 4 and then out for 4. Do that for about 60 to 90 seconds and it will allow you to control your emotions. So reflect before you act and use that as self-management. Number 3, empathy. And again, this requires great self-awareness. There's a lot of research, even at the level of brain function, that shows that people who are low in self-awareness are not able to attune to other people and not able to read them. And attunement, in case you're curious, it's the ability to read and to bring one's actions and outlook into harmony with another person and within the context that they're dealing with. Think about empathy. Empathy, we think about what are people feeling and what are they thinking. So when you start thinking about becoming a great leader, be self-attuned, be self-aware, but then start thinking about being empathetic as well. Fourth and final domain in emotional intelligence, it's social skills. This last piece is about managing relationships, and it involves apparent leadership skills like persuasion, influence, communications, teamwork. What you're doing, according to Dan, is you're putting together the ability to manage yourself, which again, we mentioned is one of the most important pieces, and then your ability to read the other person, know what they're going to say next, and to be skillful interpersonally with them, and build from all 3 domains we said earlier from your self-awareness. When you do this, you've managed to bring in the 4 different social competencies for emotional intelligence and become a great leader. We hope this helps you out in growing your leadership skills as well. So that's a wrap for today's EQ video tip. Here's a quick recap of Dan's tips on how to become a great leader in today's world. So that concludes our EQ video tip for today. Try incorporating some of these tips into your daily routine. But remember, use what works best for you and personalize it for yourself. Thank you always to our great research team for providing us with some great tips today. As always on EQ video tip, we want to end with gratitude. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Here are some resources that you can use if you want more information on EQ going forward. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.